How's it going, everyone? And welcome to Unremarkable Gamers. This is episode number 4. My name is Charles, and today we have Bubba.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And the notorious Travis.
Yo, it's King, you know. Let's do it.
So, it's finally time to review Shazam. It's a movie that's been talked about for a while, and it's finally out. Being a new superhero movie for this year, I think a lot of people are excited for it to come out, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So for the characters that were actually in this film was Asher Angel, who played Billy Batson, Jake Grazer, who played Freddie Freeman, Zachary Levi, who played Shazam, Mark Strong played Dr. Savan, and Jaimin Hudson, who played the Wizard. This movie was a runtime of 132 minutes, which I think was a pretty good length for the movie. The budget was $80 million, and by April 5th, they actually grossed $67,825,000. The director was David Sandberg. The writer was Henry Graydon, and the original creators of the Shazam comic book was Billy Parker and CC Beck. This movie, for those people that are interested in finding out about this, was actually shot on an Arri Alexa Mini and an Arri Alexa SXT, and the film was shot in Toronto, Ontario, as well as Philadelphia. The production house was Wayne Brothers, also obviously with DC Entertainment and DC Comics. An interesting character that was actually in this was Cooper Andrews. For any of you guys that are Walking Dead fans, great role that he played as Victor Vasquez, so definitely check it out. But so yeah, that's all the facts. What do you guys think about any of the characters and stuff like that so far?
Well, let's start with the kids. How about that? The
For sure.
People that played the kids and the kids.
Yes.
I always liked what do you call it? It sort of cast.
Freddie Freeman, actually, he was on It, and he did a phenomenal job on that movie, and I can see why they brought him to this film. I think definitely the casting directors did a great job, especially adding Billy Batson and some of the other child characters as well. For some of them, I think it was their first movie, and I think they all did a really good job.
Agreed.
Yeah, I liked all of his brothers and sisters. Illegitimate, no relation.
The Freddie Freeman character was hilarious. I mean, that he had me laughing throughout the whole movie. Like the stuff that he said, it was just on point.
Well, I really liked Asher's performance as Billy too. They I mean, honestly, the duo of them, kind of like the gruesome twosome, man. They're really funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people had seen the scene already because it was in the trailers, but that scene where Billy first comes to the foster home and they tell Freddie that, like, don't say anything weird. And what did he say, Bubba? I remember you said something about it yesterday.
I repeated it. What did he say?
He's like something about brushing your teeth with pee.
Oh yeah. So someone brushes their teeth.
They used to brush their teeth with pee. Was it like the Romans or something?
Yeah, the Romans.
The first interaction, and that's what someone says to you.
He's like, it works.
Bro, that part had me crying so bad.
And he's talking about, I have a crutch or whatever. He's like, I have cancer. It's terminal. And Billy's just sitting there like, what? And he's like, I'm just kidding, man. Like, I thought that was great.
Dude.
Like,
yeah, I bust out the cancer jokes.
Yeah, like right off the bat.
Oh, man.
And then, like, I'd say, like,
we don't condone cancer.
I don't think anyone condones cancer.
I don't think so.
Down with cancer.
But, like, after obviously Billy gets his powers, he actually, like, turns into, like, an older version of himself, which is played by Zachary Levi, which is Shazam. And I liked his performance as Shazam. I think that maybe they could have picked a different character or different actor for the character, but he did portray the role pretty well. Any thoughts on that?
As far as like a child superhero.
Yeah.
In an origin story.
Agreed.
In an origin story.
I mean, he definitely, like, obviously, like, the movie I went to, there was a lot of families there, and the kids loved him. I mean, I enjoyed his performance. I think that there probably could have been someone else who could have done a better job, or maybe had the appearance of a more childish adult.
I'm curious. Do you think because he's just supposed to be a older version of himself physically, right?
Yeah.
So like he's probably gonna have a lot of the same sense of humors and like silly habits as little Billy, right? So like, do you think that he accurately in this movie portrayed that, or do you think he was maybe a little more silly?
I think he was a little more silly. Like, I don't think that the whole thought process of like Billy to Shazam, I don't think it translated well to personality.
Because Billy Batson seems a little bit more
serious and mature.
Serious, yeah.
Yeah. And that's what, like, I mean, like, maybe they should have had more of a childish adult.
Now, to add or expand on that, I also kind of think the whole, it's also a social thing now because when we see Shazam, he's often not alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We see Billy alone, some like a pretty good portion of the movie, I guess. But you know, he puts his Shazam suit on, you know, and then Freeman is all over him, you know, and that's cool. But it's also like, I think it's also a social thing. Like it's exciting that, you know, he's in this form, period. And like, so maybe that's more silly to them. Maybe that makes them more silly in general together.
That's true.
Finding out all these things, like, you know,
maybe it's like the whole power trip kind of thing.
Maybe if like my buddy comes over and hangs out, I'm not as goofy as I am in party on PlayStation with like my guys. You know, maybe it's just, I don't know. Maybe it promotes more silliness in a sense.
Yeah,
it's something that they have to get used to.
I can see
it's something that they don't realize is a responsibility as much, maybe.
Yeah,
and it's like them reaping the rewards right now, I guess.
Well, I could see how, like, what you're saying, because, like, having powers, obviously, if you could snap, you know, telephone poles in half, like, nothing, I could see where it would be funny. Or even the scene where he's, like, charging people's phones, like, yeah, like, he did that scene really well.
And maybe how that could be taken away with you as you are restricted to your former self.
Yeah.
You know, as you could, maybe that in itself makes you, the kid, Billy, come off as more serious.
For sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But I don't know, like, Billy was he was a very serious character, so it just was kind of,
hey, you know,
weird, but
the kid definitely had reasons to be.
Yeah. I mean, he's
could have been worse.
I mean, when you look at the story aspect of the struggle that he had to go through, and I mean, he's obviously childish in certain things that he did. Like, they kind of showed that, like, with the first scene where we meet him. Like,
he stole a guard's food.
Yeah. Like, that scene, like, is a little childish there. But then, like,
he stole a car looking for his mom.
Yeah, but like when the scenes transition to when he's in the foster home, he's a lot more.
He didn't even steal the car, did he? He took.
No, he just used the computer and then stole their food. Spoiler.
Yeah. But like the transition from like that childish, like, you know, scene with him in the cop car going into like the foster home situation, like it was a totally different vibe. Like,
well, and in the beginning, it wasn't even like a goofy, childish.
No,
you know, it was a troublesome childish.
Yeah.
So, like you said, he's very serious as Billy.
Now, if Billy Batson was like much younger, like if he was like, let's say, I don't know what age he's supposed to be, but let's say he was like,
I think he was 14 or 15.
He was 14. So let's say he was like
something like that.
Let's say he was like 7 to like 10, I could see that. That would translate a lot better. But
to Shazam's performance in this movie.
Yeah, but like at 14 years old, like next year he's getting his driver's permit. You know what I mean? I don't meet many 14-year-olds that would act like that, as in the Shazam state, that character.
With superpowers and his best buddy? I don't know, man.
That's just my opinion now.
If that was you, dog, and we were 14, and that was you, dog, I would be like, bro, you gotta jump, bro. Can I get on your back, bro?
See, like that part was like, yeah, like I would definitely do what they did, like trying to find out what your powers are and like. Well, that's one thing,
but the attitude, the childish attitude about it too.
Yeah,
he later Freeman, after engaging so gleefully, later it was like, I actually consider it being more of the brave guy, standing in like.
Standing there holding the camera.
Yeah, standing there holding the camera. So all of a sudden, he doesn't feel that way, or he realizes it, but he values it more, or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is maybe just a childish struggle of feelings and convictions, and being able to, like maybe he just doesn't understand himself as much as he thinks.
Yeah. But anyways, how did you guys feel about Mark Strong's performance as the villain?
I liked it. Pretty, I liked it. Can we do spoilers?
Yeah, go for it.
Can we do... Oh,
I'm
dude.
expecting that everyone's seen this movie.
Bro.
If they're listening to this. Hence why the title says spoiler.
Is it already up saying that?
Yep.
Sorry.
If you're listening to it now, you already know it's a spoiler.
It's up, dog. Yeah, it's up, dog.
But I'm recording. Fuck. That's not fair.
we just mind
someone could
Travis.
be listening to this tomorrow.
I got bamboozled.
Someone could be listening to this tomorrow. Someone could be listening to this a year from now.
You're right. Hopefully. Just for fun.
But we'll be listening to it as soon as we upload it.
Let's talk about the office scene.
All right.
The conference scene, right? Is that what it was?
Go ahead and eat him.
What about it?
What'd you call him? Oh, I just liked how crazy it was, like how his approach finally he was like savoring it,
Yeah.
And it was cool. I me and my buddy, we both sat up and definitely was like kind of rallying after he threw his brother out the window, and I honestly I was rooting for him, and I loved it.
Yeah, I could see like with the whole, I mean, he's been obviously trying to get vengeance for the way his family treated him for so long, and now proving it to his family and taking his vengeance. I liked that scene, and I loved the way that they did it with the like the iced out glass with like throwing the boardroom members like against it, and the security guard or whatever he was outside there, like looking at it and just being like, oh shit, just
screaming at it. Yeah, it was. I liked his performance as the bad man.
Like,
I don't know how I felt about the demons coming out of him, though.
That's like with the demons.
Read a book, bro.
The only gripe I had with the demons was that I wish that they had more personality and more character development, because that would have almost made you kind of root for the villain. And like I would say, in terms of like a villain-esque character or like henchman characters, I think a movie that did it really well was like going back to like 1995 with Lion King, and Scar and his like gang of hyenas. Like they were hilarious. And they I mean, you liked the characters, even though they were evil. Yeah, like that whole scene with like
they kind of reminded me of Ed, Edd n Eddy, to be honest.
They do, yeah. But they had personality. You know what I mean? So I think one of the characters was Ed. But the
they
whole scene
also
where they're
moved more. They had more physical interaction. Like with their screen time, they were using their body language. They were giving them body language.
Yeah.
Is what I really mean.
But I mean, even with as much screen time as like the demons had, like they would have had that ability. Even like that boardroom scene, like I was talking about. Why don't they have?
I know. Yeah.
You know, like one of the demons being like, you know, that's kind of unfair. Like I wanted to eat him, you know, or something like that. Instead, it just seemed like they were, you know, like obedient dogs. You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like what I was gonna say
like
about like going back to like the Lion King was that like that scene where they're talking about Mufasa and he's like laughing and he's like, "Ooh, that name gives me chills." Say it again. He's like, "Mufasa, Mufasa, 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 Mufasa." Ooh, you know, like that's like hilarious, and I mean, that almost makes you like those characters. And if they would have had an essence of that in this film, I think it would have went well with the audience. Obviously, with like children that were in the audience and things like that, they would have been like less fearful of the demons and more like, you know, okay, these demons are interesting. You know, at the beginning,
it's not Marvel. I mean. Just kidding.
Wow. Okay. We see where King swings.
I like Marvel. I'm just kidding.
At the beginning,
hey,
like
you know, I'm curious though. Do you think maybe they were restricted to things that are from the book that the story's coming from? Because
Like
I
the
believe
comic?
it's from the new. I believe it's from the new 52 series. So which I haven't read, and
I haven't
kind
read
of
any of the
interested in it
comics
now.
either, so I wouldn't have an answer for that.
No, I was just curious if you thought maybe that might have played a part. I don't have the
possibly,
answers.
but I mean, it almost.
It definitely could be.
It almost is just kind of inexcusable, like with all the screen time that they get just standing around.
Yeah,
I see that because you know, I wouldn't say that unless I can really imagine them right now just standing there like they're statues, but they're not statues.
I don't know. I think I wish I could have. I mean, every movie that I'm trying to think about right now where it has to do with the villain, there's like some sort of personality with it. Even like with the Marvel movies, since you wanted to touch on Marvel, like let's say like the monsters that were coming out of the portal in Avengers, like even those monsters that like riding those little like aerial bikes or whatever, like they're getting hit.
Shatari?
Yeah, like them flying around, like there were certain things that they did that gave them a little personality, and it was different with each character that you've seen. Like one of their fellow brethren getting shot and like turning around and being like, "Oh crap," and then they get shot. You know, even a little bit of that interaction would have been, and like I said, for like that boardroom scene, that would have been a great opportunity for that. So.
Yeah, give them a little personality. I agree, dude. It was cool though to see what they did as just like when they were just, you know, devouring things. That was cool.
Yeah.
Seeing them on the hunt and fighting, that was cool. But yeah, as you know, where's the personality between these 7 deadly sins, you know? Like you know, and why just like, envy at the time?
There's,
you know,
they have. I mean, if we look at the like Greek mythology, like they do have like certain characteristics about them. So give them more of that. And they kind of showed that off with envy at the end, but I wanted more of that.
I can agree with that. I liked him, you know, so it would have been nice to have more reasons to like him, and it was a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Because, like, if they would have showed more of that personality at the beginning, then when that end scene came where he's, like, trying to get Envy to come out, I think that, like, people in the audience would have understood why he was trying to do that with Envy.
Right.
If he showed a little bit of those tendencies at the beginning.
The choice words.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
So.
I agree.
But let's talk about Shazam and his powers. Because a lot of his powers come from, like, Greek gods. Do you have that page up you were talking about, Bubba?
Yeah. His name is an acronym that comes from the 6 mythological figures who gave him his powers. He has wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the courage of Achilles, the speed of Mercury, and the stamina of Atlas.
So I wonder if he's got the courage of Achilles. I wonder if he's got an Achilles heel.
Oh, this guy.
I mean,
I hear that. Go ahead.
Wouldn't it be his family?
What family?
Well, his foster family.
That's not. Yeah, I was being an ass. But yeah. No, I think his Achilles heel is that he's a child and he has been tricked in the past to be defeated in comic books and other, DC medias. They I can think of one in particular, because he's supposed to be a Justice League heavy hitter, like Green Lantern,
unstoppable one-man army,
Superman, so like, and this fight is between Superman and Shazam, and I mean, really, Superman kind of beats the living crap out of him, being a more experienced superhero, but Shazam messes him up too, man. So it's kind of funny. Here, you guys. So Superman comes in and is trying to stop Lex or something. And he's like, "There's a bomb here," and then Shazam's like, "Well, let's just be reasonable about this and let's just be official." And then he Superman's about to go to it like Soup does, and just burrow through the ground. Shazam stops him, and then that's when they start fighting. But in the end, Shazam was tricked into being turned back into a child, and Superman won by just that after destroying a city.
And just to let people know, this isn't in this movie Shazam. This is from the comics.
This is from an animated series,
or animated series, yeah.
But yeah. So like I said, in the past, Shazam has been tricked into turning back into Billy.
Yeah.
And has been put away that way.
And
that was my point when I brought that up.
I can see where they did that with this movie, especially having the villain that they did. This movie was really about Shazam's, I guess, evolving into the hero that he is destined to be.
Well, it's an origin story, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so
it's
I think
honest.
With the villain that they chose, obviously for this this movie was well suited what they wanted to achieve, of it not just being about this person, this person's personal vendetta, but has to do with Billy Batson being Shazam and him finding his way.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they did a good job. It was real funny, good family movie. I mean, it was really funny.
Yeah.
So I walked away, and I asked my biased friend what he thought, and he said, I'd recommend it. And that's kind of how I am. I'd recommend it.
Yeah.
That's about it. It's good.
Yeah, I recommend it.
But,
hopefully Netflix picks it up or something.
Side note, though, I don't know if you guys knew this, but the character that played Mr. Savan, I guess the father, was played by John Glover, and he actually was also in he played is it Lionel Luthor in Smallville, and obviously Lex is bald, and now he's playing in this movie, and his son is bald as well, and they're both villainous characters, so a little crossover there.
It is funny. Trapped in the DC universe.
I mean, that even goes back to
with bald children.
Goes back to Ryan Reynolds playing the Green Lantern, and now he's Deadpool. Different comic series, but staying in that family.
Mm-hmm.
So, but what would you say is your final thoughts about the movie? Would you recommend it? Would you buy it? What are your thoughts, Bubba? kick us off.
I'd recommend it. It's definitely a decent movie, but like when we were talking before, I'm not that into superhero movies.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I would definitely recommend it.
What about you,
Overall,
King?
I enjoyed it.
Like I said, I recommend it. It was a fun watch. If it doesn't come by me somehow, if I just don't come across it, I'll probably buy it when it's cheap or something. Movies are always dropping in price at some point.
For sure.
Always.
You'll find it somewhere. You'll
Yeah.
find it somewhere worth it.
I like the movie. I would recommend for people to go see it, just because it was a good watch. I don't think I would buy like a hard copy of it. I might buy like a digital copy for like a road
That's a
trip or
good point,
something.
though. It was fun to watch on the big screen.
Yeah.
Because of how it was shot. That's a good point.
So
I'm glad I went to experience it. That was cool.
definitely. But yeah, it's definitely like a road trip movie. Something you can, I mean, if you have kids, you can play it in the background and it's something they'll watch. But I couldn't see myself watching it again unless, you know, the time proceeded where like I needed to watch something. I might play it, but
Sure.
yeah. But it was a good movie. I mean, Rotten Tomato gave it a 91. I could see why they gave it a 91 compared with some of the other movies that are out right now. So I would stick with that rating for sure.
Agreed.
So,
Boom.
but that's all we have for Shazam and for our podcast today. You can find us on Instagram at unremarkable_GA. You can find us on YouTube at Unremarkable Gamers and at on Twitter at UnremarkableGA. Instagram is Unremarkable Gamers. Yeah. We're also on iHeart. We're going to be on iHeartRadio. Hopefully at the end of this month, we're going to be on Spotify for sure. We're also on iTunes and again, like I said, YouTube. So leave us your comments. Let us know what you think. If we should do another one of these, be greatly appreciated. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day, evening, night.
Shazam!
Peace.